Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to map out the entire life cycle of an AI project. I'm talking from that very first spark of an idea all the way to a fully functioning system that's out there in the real world.
Have you ever really wondered how that happens? How does a simple concept, maybe something sketched on a whiteboard, turn into this powerful piece of tech that can predict things, or classify images, or even create something new? Well, that's exactly the journey we're taking today. We're going to break it all down, step by step.
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll talk about that initial spark. Then, we'll get into how we fuel the AI system. After that, it's all about building the brain, bringing it to life, and finally keeping it smart. Simple as that.
So visually, this is the whole path from start to finish. You've got 5 key milestones we're going to hit: ideation, data prep, modeling, deployment, and monitoring. All right, you ready? Let's dive into step 1.
Okay, part 1, the spark of an idea. I want you to think of this like creating the blueprint for a custom-built race car, right? Before you even think about ordering parts, you have to know exactly what this car is for. Is it for a drag race? A 24-hour endurance event? You've got to know precisely what you're trying to achieve.
So the official term for this whole process is project scoping. And what's so important here is that it's super comprehensive. We're not just talking about a vague idea. We're talking about nailing down the exact goals, the costs, the deadlines, everything. It all boils down to answering one simple but critical question: what problem are we actually trying to solve here?
And look, this really is the whole ballgame, because without a super clear, well-defined scope, an AI project can just fly off the rails. It happens all the time. This blueprint, this plan, is the foundation that keeps everything on track and gives you a clear definition of what success even looks like.
All right, so we've got our blueprint. Now it's time for part 2, fueling the AI system. And if our AI is the engine of that race car we're building, then data is the high-octane fuel that's going to make it roar.
There's this old saying in data science. You've probably heard it. Garbage in, garbage out. And it just perfectly captures this whole stage. The simple truth is, the performance of your AI will never be better than the quality of the data you feed it. Period.
And check this out. This really shows you just how critical that fuel is. If you look at where data scientists actually spend their time, a whopping 80% of it, 80, is spent just on data preparation. The cool, glamorous part of building models, that's just a tiny piece of the pie. Kind of surprising, right?
So what is all that work then? Well, it's the really meticulous, kind of unglamorous stuff. It's collecting the raw data, cleaning out all the mistakes and weird bits, labeling everything so the model knows what it's looking at, and then splitting it all up for training and testing later on.
So the big takeaway here is really simple. You can have the world's best idea, the most brilliant engineers, but if your data is junk, your AI is going to be junk too. It all comes down to this: the quality of the fuel determines the performance of the engine.
Okay, our tank is full of that premium high-octane data. Now we get to the really fun part. Part 3, building the AI brain. This is where we step into the science lab. This is where we actually design, build, and test that powerful engine for our race car. So the heart of this stage is all about 2 things: training and testing. And the analogy here is perfect. Think of training like a student studying a textbook. The AI is just learning all the patterns and facts from the data. But then testing, that's the final exam. We give it totally new problems it's never seen before to see if it actually learned the subject, or if it just memorized the answers in the book.
And it's this cycle, train, test, tweak, repeat, that really separates a pretty good model from a truly great one. It's this tough, rigorous process that makes sure the AI is genuinely intelligent, not just a good memorizer. You need to know you can trust it out in the real world.
All right, things are getting exciting. Our engine is built, it's been tested, it's powerful. So for part 4, it's finally time to get this incredible race car off the practice grounds and onto the actual racetrack. We're talking deployment and integration.
So the model is built. All that intense data science work, it's done. And let me tell you, that is a huge milestone for any project.
And just as important, the tests are passed. It proved what it can do. It aced its final exams in that safe, controlled lab. It is officially ready for the big leagues.
And now it's time to go live. This is where a different kind of expert steps in: the machine learning engineers. They're the ones who take this amazing model and integrate it into actual software, into real business processes. They're like the master mechanics who install the engine into the race car so it can finally hit the track.
Because let's be real,
Here's the bottom line. An AI model that's just sitting on a data scientist's laptop is nothing more than a cool science experiment. It only starts creating real value when it's out there, deployed, and actually working, helping people make smarter decisions or automating tedious tasks.
But wait, the race isn't over just because the car is on the track. In fact, in some ways, it's just beginning. Now you need a pit crew. So welcome to our final section, Part 5, Keeping the System Smart.
Yeah, and AI is absolutely not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of thing. It needs constant attention from that pit crew. They have to monitor its performance, looking out for something called model drift. That's basically when the model's accuracy starts to slip because, the real world has changed since it was trained. So they're constantly retraining it with new data, updating the systems, and listening to user feedback to make it better.
And this part is absolutely essential. Why? Because the world is always changing. New data is being created every single second. So for an AI to stay relevant, to stay accurate, and to keep being valuable, it has to be treated like a living system, one that evolves right along with the world it operates in.
So there you have it. From that first little spark of an idea, through all the data prep, the modeling, the deployment, and the constant monitoring, that is the complete journey of an AI project. The blueprint, the entire plan, is now in your hands. So I guess the only question left to ask is, what problem are you going to solve first?